Good evening, everyone. I, C. Tanya Gupta, welcome you all in the live virtual classes conducted by Board of Studies for the paper CA Final Paper 3 Advanced Auditing Assurance and Professional Ethics. So these classes are conducted basically for May 2026 attempt, September 2026 and January 2027 attempts. So your whole syllabus is divided into 5 sections. Section number whole syllabus is divided into 19 chapters, which are further divided into 5 sections. Section number 1, which contains chapter number 1 to chapter number 11, engagement and quality control standards. This covers 45% to 55% of whole weightage. Then we have section number 2, chapter number 12, which is digital auditing and assurance. It is of 3% to 6%. That is 4 to 6 marks exams come from this chapter. Then we have section number 3, which covers all the miscellaneous topics like group audit, audit of banks, NBFCs, PSU, internal audit, digital assurance, investigation of forensic accounting. These chapters are of 17% to 24%. That is 20 to 27 marks are covered from this chapter. Then we have section number 4, which is ESG and SDG, same as section number 2, 3% to 6%. And lastly, we have chapter number 19, which covers under section 5. And it is a very, very important section, professional ethics and liabilities of auditor. It is of 17% to 24% of total weightage, that is 20 to 27 marks. And this time we are starting with this section, which is very important. And for this, we have CA Harshit Tekwani sir, a very experienced professional with us for taking up these classes. So students, please take maximum benefit from these classes. You can ask your queries as and when sir gives you time. And I suggest you all to prepare your handwritten notes side by side with these classes so that you don't hurry or you do not panic in last minute revision. So not taking much time, I request Harshit sir to please take up the session, and all the very best to everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank
Hello, everyone. Good evening. So welcome to today's session. Today, we are going to start with our chapter 19, but as ma'am discussed, ma'am provided a good overview of your whole subject that is very important and very necessary to take care about. See, when you are studying a subject, it's very important that you understand what are the content of that subject, particularly what are the marks weightage given to each of the section, and accordingly, you need to devise your plan that how you need to study that particular chapters. Okay, so always keep these things handy with you, and how the lecture will flow, basically how we will take it forward from here is, number one, when we will discuss a particular chapter, I will be using study material. Okay, I will be referencing a lot of things from the study material, so I would recommend every student to keep study material handy near to you. So the moment I refer it, I'll ask you, okay, mark it down, write something on the study material, or highlight it, so you should be able to do it. Okay, number two, before start of each lecture, I recommend each and every student to read about the chapter so that they can understand like what we are discussing in the chapter, and they can ask the question. The more you will ask, the more you will learn. So don't worry on that okay, it is a silly question, it's a normal, a simple question. No, don't worry on that. Ask as much as you can ask 3 times, 4 times, 5 times same questions, not a problem. Okay, and third, we will also take up, I will also write some things and notes. I'll prepare the notes. I would recommend you to also prepare your own notes, and the reason because is that a day before exam, these handwritten notes will be helpful to you to do a quick revision. Now, a day before exam, within one and a half day, we need to cover the entire subject. We need to revise the entire subject. At that point in time, if you have your own handwritten, see, handwritten notes can be available. You can get my notes also, but the problem is your own handwritten notes will help you to realize quick rather than someone else handwritten. So the moment you will write something on a piece of paper, the moment later on, after 3 months, 4 months, or 6 months even down the line, when you will see that handwriting, when you will see that word, you will be able to remember why you wrote that particular point over there. That is the benefit of the handwritten notes. Okay. So I will recommend every student to have their own handwritten notes along with me. Okay. So some things that I wanted to discuss before I wanted to start. Okay. So now we will start first with chapter number 19. That is your professional ethics and the liabilities of auditor. Uh, I will take up through a summary of the chapter. I will take you through what this chapter contains, and then we will deep dive into the chapters one by one area. Okay. So let me quickly present to you. Okay. So if I talk about chapter number 19, basically, if I talk about chapter number 19, it contains, I have divided this chapter into, five different sections, you can say. One is your fundamental principles, Noclar, fees for taxation services, the topics like that. Okay. Then you have member registration, disability, branch office, deemed to be in consultancy, management consultancy service. So a section of that. Then you have a first and second schedules and their parts that we will discuss. Then you have the council general guidelines, like council general guidelines, network guidelines, logo guidelines, okay, advertisement related guidelines. So a lot of guidelines are there that we need to go through. And then the last part is that the disciplinary mechanism, that is very important. And why at the last I have kept for this particular chapter is reason, because once you understand the schedules, once you understand the guideline, if you need to understand, okay, now what, we understood what is the schedules, what are the profession, like when a chartered accountant can be guilty of professional misconduct and can be guilty of other misconduct, but what is the difference of both? So the difference we will learn when we will go to the disciplinary mechanism, that what happens when a chartered accountant is guilty of professional misconduct or other misconduct, or whether he is falling under first schedule or second schedule. Okay. So this is how I have divided the entire particular chapter, and we will go in this particular flow. Along with that, we will solve some questions. We will see some questions on each and every topic so that we are able to understand how to write a particular question in exam. That is very important. Learning a topic, perfectly fine, very good, but writing a question, writing the answer for a question in exam is also important. So we need to understand that also, that how to write in exam. Okay, great. So let's proceed further. And meanwhile, if anyone has any doubt during the session, okay, just type it in the chat box. As and when I will be able to take it up, I'll take it up. So now first we will start with the first part, that is the code of ethics. Now your code of ethics, which is there, which is issued here, is divided into 5 different parts. Okay, 5 different parts. Part 1 of the code of ethics is basically the fundamental principles. We will see what are the 5 for that the important fundamental principles. But as of now, just park it. Okay, part 1 is your fundamental principles. Part 2 is something that it is applicable to the guidelines to the professional accountants in general. They might be, education related, commerce related, non-profit. But as of now, just, professional accountant in service or in general, it is applicable. Part 3 is where the guidance is given for the professional accountant in public practice. So if you are in public practice, then there are some guidelines which are given in part 3. Now, part 4 is divided again in 2 parts, 4A and 4B. 4A is something about the independence for the audit and review engagements, and 4B is the independence for the other assurance engagement other than the audit and review. Now, why we are learning this? Because when we will go through the code of ethics, when we will go through these different sections, like we will go through the fundamental principles, we will go through the fees for some assignments, we will go through the taxation services, fee for audit clients. So we will go through some sections from the code of ethics, And at that point in time, I will also talk about the subsections. And based on that, we will be able to understand, okay, this is from part 1, this is from part 2, this is from part 3. Accordingly, we will be able to see. So that's why it's very important to understand the part of the code of ethics. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. Now, let's start with the fundamental principles. Important 5 fundamental principles. Okay. These are the fundamental principles which are the base for our profession. Base for our profession. When I talk about fundamental principles, these are necessary to be adhered to be every time. Like these should be present whenever you are doing any assignment, whenever you are doing anything. As a charter accountant, as a professional, these fundamental principles you have to adhere to by default. Like there is no exemption from complying with these fundamental principles. Can you say tomorrow that okay, today I'll not follow integrity because today is exemption to me? No. Can you say that okay, today I'll not follow confidentiality, today is exemption to me? Answer is no. Like it's not something that you can take an exemption in these particular fundamental principles. Every day, every time, you have to comply with it. Okay, so that's why it becomes important for us to understand what are these fundamental principles, and they have a very good impact when you will become a CA and when you will take up assignments. At that point in time, we will see a concept called threat to fundamental principles. So in practical scenario, what happens is, let's say for example, I'm going like there is a person, like he's my friend. He comes to me, okay, Harshad, do one thing. Can you do audit for me? I said, fine. There is not an issue. I will comply everything, and then I'll, I may be appointed as a statutory auditor of his company. Perfectly fine. But let's say I change the scenario. That person first, okay, that friend of mine asked me, okay, can you invest in my company, be my partner? I said, okay, fine. Now as I'm a CA also, then he asked me, okay, now you are a partner also, can you do audit for my company? Like, can you be a statutory auditor? I am a partner and he asked me to be statutory auditor. Do you think it is perfectly fine? Can anyone tell me that do you think it is perfectly fine that I'm a partner in, like I'm a shareholder in the company and I'm accepting as a statutory auditor position in the company? Anyone? No, it is not fine. Great. Yes. No. So you know the answer, it is not fine. Now the reason, like you might not be aware, but yeah, sometimes you might be aware that okay, their provision doesn't allow, law doesn't allow, but before that, your code of ethics only doesn't allow. Reason because when you accept a position, okay, in a company where you are already a shareholder, at that time you're trying to compromise your objectivity. In that case, you are trying to compromise your objectivity, and in that case there is a threat to the fundamental principle. Self review, self interest, a lot of threats are coming into the picture. We will see that. But as of now, understand that whenever you do something like this, there is a threat to your fundamental principles. Yes, laws are designed in a way to address these kind of scenarios. Law also acknowledges, yes, these are fundamental principles we need to follow. That's why there is a disqualification of the statutory auditors in Companies Act. Can anyone tell me which section it is? Disqualification of statutory auditor under Companies Act, if you have got chance to go through quickly. Anyone? No? Anyone? 141? No? Section 141? Okay. So section 141 is there, okay, under Companies Act, which talks about a lot of requirements the auditor must comply with. From 139 to 140 and 141, there are sections. We will see that also later on. But these sections are designed in a way that they comply with the fundamental principles. They are designed keeping the fundamental principles in picture. So that's how these fundamental principles important are. We'll start with the integrity first. Integrity, that means that you have to be straight and honest in all your professional and business relationship. Can anyone tell me an example of the integrity? Like how? Like okay, it is saying like straightforward and honest, all professional business relationship. But what it means? Can anyone tell me with an example? Anyone? No? Example of the integrity, or example when the integrity is not being followed. Quickly, guys. Pretty easy. Taking gifts, okay. But taking gifts, I think, can create a conflict of interest, and that can go to the objectivity. Okay, I'll tell you. You certify a financial statement which contain misstatement, but you still say there are no misstatement, unmodified opinion. On the financial statement which contain misstatement, you know already. Or you sign a financial statement which has the false information, misleading information. So you are not being honest in your professional relationships. You are not being honest in your professional engagement. Or when you represent something to the client, but in actual the thing is not there. You are making false statement to the client and to the management. You are not being honest in your professional relationships. That is the integrity. You are not maintaining the integrity. Absolutely correct. Yes, Chitra, very good. Yes, Geeta, very good. Geet, sorry, very good. So integrity is about being honest in all your professional and business relations. Okay, now I have specified a subsection, subsection 111. Now what this subsection is? This subsection is a reference to the code of ethics. This subsection is the reference to the code of ethics. And from there, like the subsection 111 is the subsection of the code of ethics, where the integrity is specified as a fundamental principle. So you need to remember this subsection. Okay. Then second comes the objectivity. A professional accountant shall comply with the principle of objectivity, which requires accountant not to compromise professional or business judgment, or not to be biased or affected through the conflict of interest or undue influence. Okay. Can anyone tell me an example of objectivity? Like where you can say that objectivity is compromised? Anyone? Come on, quickly. Where you can say objectivity is compromised? Independence compromised? Yes, Rishabh, very good. Anything else you guys can think of? Intimidation? Yes, intimidation. But can anyone tell me example? So, Geet, if you can tell me an example of that. Yeah, objectivity was to do audit true and fair, but instead to retain client and showing misstated FS as the correct one. You can say that. Yes, very good. When auditor does not apply certain procedures due to fear of management. Yes, very good. When a close relative is the director of the company and when you are doing the stat audits. Yes, very good. So this particular one, when a close relative is a director, can I say it's a threat, kind of a self familiarity, that a professional accountant having a close or immediate family member who is the director or officer of a client. Like it's a threat to the objectivity. And we call this type of a threat as a familiarity threat. Someone told me about basically fearing from the management. So that could be intimidation threat. We will come to the threats, but yeah, see the scenarios where we are saying we will not be able to, comply of the fundamental principles. The scenario where the fundamental principles are compromised, they are coming as a threat to the fundamental principles, and we will see the type of threats. Are you able to link both? So that is the threat to the fundamental principles that you are giving the example of. Okay, then the next one is professional competency and due care. So what is professional competency and due care? Basically, professional competency and due care is when the professional accountant, okay, is required to ensure that a client, or if he is doing the service, then employing organization receives the appropriate service from him based on the current technical and professional standards. He should act diligently while applying the professional and technical standards. That means that whenever he is providing the service, he has to provide the service in a way that is competent enough, kind of, that is meeting the professional and technical standards. Okay, so whenever he is providing the service, he should exercise sound judgment, the skepticism. He should apply professional judgment wherever required. He should be aware about the recent changes. He should be, aware about the scenarios, technical laws, regulations, whatever it is. So by understanding all those things, he is providing the service. That is your professional competency and the due care. Fourth is the confidentiality. Already the name, itself is the, the thing that provides the detail. Now, when I say confidentiality, confidentiality is kind of not only purposeful breach. Remember that most of the students have the misconception that confidentiality relates to the purposeful breach of the information or the data or the confidential information, but it is not the case. Even when you breach, when you disclose the information without any purpose, or inadvertently, at that point in time also you can say there is a breach of confidentiality. You have not maintained the confidentiality fundamental principle. For example, when basically you are disclosing information to a close family member, or you are disclosing information within the firm itself. Let's say you are a CA firm. Okay, there are three different teams. One is the audit team, one is the management team, provide management, other management consultancy service. One is the tax team. You are the audit team. You are partner of the audit team or is part of the audit team. Now, during any, let's say, lunch break or any time, you met a person from the tax team and you informed him, no, this company has a very good results. This is a listed company. It is a very good results. Now they will be publishing those after a week. That is a breach of confidentiality. The tax team was not supposed to know, and you still informed them. That's why you need to understand the confidentiality with a very wide application. It's not only someone outside the firm, outside your organization, or outside your family. No, it can be within the firm itself. So if you disclose an information to whom it was not supposed to be, it's a breach of confidentiality. So remember that when it comes confidentiality, it has to be interpreted very widely. Okay, unless and until required by the law. If at a particular point in time the law requires you to disclose that information, you have to disclose. If at a point in time the client authorize you to disclose the information, you can disclose the information. Or if when there is a professional duty or right to disclose, I cannot say that while writing my audit report that okay, if I'll write this information, it will be a breach of confidentiality. There is a misstatement, okay, and I say no, if I'll write this in my audit report, it will be a breach of confidentiality. No, at that point in time, it is your professional duty to disclose. So do not get confused that okay, I cannot disclose even in my audit report. That will be a breach of confidentiality. Now, the very good question that is, wouldn't the entire firm be considered as the auditor, and hence would it be okay if the teams within the audit firm gets to know of it? Answer is no. It is not okay. I'll tell you why. Reason, because see what happens is you are working. Let's say in case of a listed clients, there is practical scenario I'm telling you. The audit team is in the audit team has the access to the price sensitive information, unpublished price sensitive information. At that point in time, if you disclose that information to the someone from the tax department or some advisory department who might not be working on the audit, who might not be aware about the numbers, at that point in time it can be treated as a breach of confidentiality. Reason, because they were not supposed to know about that information. The audit division, or the even not even the audit division, but the audit team was the only people who were supposed to know about that information. So that is that much detailed confidentiality we have to maintain during audit for the confidential informations. Like okay, the audit team, even sometimes the information is so critical that it is only disclosed to certain person within the audit team itself, like partner and one or two person who are doing the audit of that information, because of the sensitive nature of the information. Not all the team members are disclosed that information. So that's why it becomes important to understand what at what level the confidentiality applies. Okay, that was confidentiality, subsection 114. Now we will jump to the last and very important fundamental principle, that is professional behavior. What is professional behavior? Professional behavior means a professional accountant shall comply with the principle of professional behavior. That is, he should conduct his activities, okay, in a way that he complies with all the laws and regulations, and he should avoid any conflict, or he should not conduct any activity that should discredit the profession itself. That means you have to act in a way where you are complied with the all the laws and regulations, including all the other fundamental principles, including integrity, objectivity, professional competency, and due care. Confidentiality means act in a way where you are complying the law, where you are complying the regulations, where you are complying the fundamental principles which are already discussed, okay, and you are not doing anything which is discrediting the profession. That is the professional behavior fundamental principle. Can anyone give me an example of where you do not maintain a professional behavior fundamental principle? Quickly, an example of this professional behavior fundamental principle not being followed. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. An example of professional behavior not being followed. Black money. Okay, very good. Yes. What else? Anyone? No? Come on, guys. Very good. Come on. Try at least. Engaging in insider trading. Yes, very good. Accepting expensive gifts from the client. Okay. See, anything which is against the law, which is not as per the law, which is not as per the regulation or fundamental principles, it will be a violation of professional behavior. For example, you make exaggerated claims that about your qualification, your experience. You make such a references which are not appropriate. References or kind of comparisons that I am the best CA, but this CA is worst. His service are worst. Like you make such kind of references in public, or you try to do anything, or you do any act which brings disrepute to the institute. Fake excellence for avoiding tax, yes, very good. So anything which is against the law, which is which tarnish the image of the profession, that is your violation of the professional behavior fundamental principle. Clear? Any doubt? Yes, very good, Pitambar. So any doubt till now? Okay, good. If no doubts, let then proceed further. Now, the next point that I want to take it up is the threats to the fundamental principle. We understood basically what are the fundamental principles. We understood a lot of examples when it comes to the fundamental principles, like when it can be breached, or what are the scenarios where fundamental principles are not present. Simply, if I take all these examples and if I club them in sections, you will get 5 type of threats which are threat to the fundamental principles. Number one, self-interest threat. The threat that a financial interest is there, or your professional behavior, professional judgment is impaired because you are yourself interested in that particular uh, either opinion or the professional engagement. That is your self-interest threat. Self-review threat. That is the threat where you are reviewing your own work or the judgments that you have already made. Okay. For example, you took an assignment of a company where you were supposed to draft the internal controls for the company. Now you are being assigned as the statutory auditor of the company. In that, you have to do the audit of the internal financial controls, IFC. Now, what you will do is when you will do the IFC testing, at that point in time, if you review your own drafted controls, it's a self review threat. How can you say that my drafted controls are not working well or they are improperly drafted? So, will you say that your own controls that you have drafted, the controls which are there, are not properly drafted? No, no one will say that my designed controls are improper. There is a self-review threat. Then third is the advocacy threat. Advocacy threat is that you are associated with the client or the organization in a way that you are going to promote the client, whatever the stand the client is taking. So you are going to promote the client. For example, simple example, if I give you of the self-advocacy thread is that you are also fighting a litigation on behalf of the client. You are also, representing a client in a litigation. In that case, can you, or let's say, for example, I was, involved, or I was appearing for the client in a tax litigation. Now, can I give a client a misstatement on the same taxation matter? Answer is no. Again, the self-review threat and advocacy threat comes into the picture. Fourth is a familiarity threat. Close relationships, family member being part of the company or the client. Okay, somehow you are interested in the company, and there comes the engagement where you need to issue the opinion, or where you need to provide any assurance. That's a familiarity threat. And the last is the intimidation threat, where you are being feel pressure, or you are being threatened, or you are some pressurized that please issue this information, this particular kind of opinion. or gifts are given to basically try to create a biasness, something like that. In that case, that is an intimidation threat. Or past intimidation threat is something that is dismissal, like, okay, we will remove you if you will not issue a clean report. We will change the auditor if we will not issue a clean report. Intimidation threat. These are pretty common. And once you identify these kind of threats, at that point in time, you have to act. Can anyone tell me what you will do when you identify these kind of threats? Come on, quickly. What you will do when you will identify these kind of threats? Come on, guys, quickly. So, okay, try to put safeguards, yes. Minimize and or eliminate them, okay. Eliminate them, okay. Leave the audit engagement in case of intimidation threat, okay, very good. Try to mitigate the threat, or if not possible, leave the engagement, yes. Resign from the audit. Eliminate or reduce the threat. Very good, guys. You already know the answer, okay. So when you identify a threat, what is required to be done? But before that, let's see let's see one example, one discussion that is happening between auditor and client. Okay. Okay, let's see a discussion that is happening between auditor and client, and we will see what is happening and we will understand with that particular example. Sorry, give me a minute. Yeah. Okay. So basically here there are two people involved, John and Sarah. Okay, John is the auditor, Sarah, she is the client. So basically the conversation is, Sarah says that John says that, thank you for coming in, I know it's a short notice, but there is something we need to discuss regarding the audit. Okay, Sarah is concerned of, like, what is the matter, why you call me, what is the scenario, being a client. So John says that we have identified a material misstatement in your financial statement. It is significant enough that it would overstate your net income if not corrected. Fine, there is a misstatement. Now Sarah says that overstate, how much we are talking about? She is asking the number. So it's substantial, Sarah. I can't give you the exact figure right now, but it is material enough to warrant disclosure and correction. Okay, it is big enough. It's they are talking about. Sarah says that, John, you know that how important our stock price is, and this could tank it. And my compensation is tied to our performance. So she's pleading like, okay, this could impact the company negatively. Plus, her compensation is tied to the performance. That will also create a problem. I understand your concern, but we have a professional responsibility to report this. See, this kind of pleading that is happening over here is kind of an intimidation threat. They are trying to say that, okay, okay, please do not report. Otherwise, the company may crash. The company's stock price may get impacted. Kind of intimidation threat is happening over here. But again, John says that, no, 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 that we have a professional responsibility to report it. Again, Sarah says that we have been working together for years. You know how important our company is to your firm, and we are the one of your biggest clients. Can anyone tell me this particular line and this particular situation, what kind of threat it is? That they are the biggest firm, plus they are knowing them for years. What kind of threat it is? Quickly. Self-interest threat, okay.
Familiarity.
Self-interest threat, yes. Anyone was saying anything? Okay. Familiarity threat, Prithvi, very good. Chitra, familiarity threat, very good. Yes. Khushi, familiarity threat. Yes, very good. Familiarity threat. Yes, very good. So this is kind of a classic example of a familiarity threat, that when you point out a misstatement, a very big misstatement, the client will say that we are working for years. You know how important our company is to your firm. We are one of your biggest client. That means they are intimating you that if tomorrow we leave you, you are going to suffer. Like, you are going to lose a very big client, audit client. So that is a classic example of the intimidation threat that happens. Okay. But again, like, you as an auditor has to be on their stand. Like, okay, we have to report, we have to report. There is nothing unless and until you rectify it. Otherwise, we will report the misstatement. Like John says, I do, Sarah, but and see again, come on, John, we can find a way to work out this. Maybe we can adjust some estimate, reclassify some items. Again, this is kind of a scenario where she is trying to, intimidate the professional, the auditor over here, that okay, by giving some alternate options, or by giving, that showing that okay, company is important for you, and these kind of scenarios. So basically, auditor cannot ignore a misstatement. It's not about, only about reporting. It is about the fundamental principle, that is integrity comes into the picture, that when there is a misstatement, you have to be honest and report it. So that was one of the examples, like one good example that I had, where there was a discussion between the auditor and the client, talking about the fundamental principles. Okay, a particular scenario. Now, whenever there is a threat, as you guys already said, like, you will apply safeguards. You will see if you can remove it, otherwise you resign it. So there are steps for the, addressing a threat to the fundamental principles. There are steps to address the threats to the fundamental principles. For example, one is this one. Like, you need to identify first of all which threat is there to the fundamental principle. Then you need to evaluate that threat. Evaluate means how critical it is, how big it is. Can means at times it will be a scenario where you will say, oh, this threat is too big, we cannot even apply any safeguard. Simple example, you are doing audit, there was a signing partner. Later on, it was, from some sources, you come to know that the signing partner's brother is a very big shareholder in the company. Now, in that case, can you apply safeguard? Tell me one thing, if you identify that signing partner's brother is a very big shareholder in the company, can you apply safeguard? What safeguard can you apply? Now, there is a threat, familiarity threat. Now, tell me the safeguard that you will apply. Come on, guys, quickly. Change the signing partner. Not to engage. We cannot apply. So basically, you can change the signing partner provided you have options. But if it is a sole proprietorship, or if you don't have any other signing partner with an experience, see, it is not just okay, tomorrow I'll bring someone else, you sign it on my behalf. It is not the case. We will see the same things in the SQC1 and SA 220. When we'll go through these standards, at that point in time, we will understand the responsibility on the engagement partner, the signing partner. So you cannot bring anyone as a signing partner unless and until he has the relevant experience, he knows the industry, he knows the audit, okay, the industry in which it is there, he understands the scenario, he has the experience, then only you can bring. Otherwise, I cannot, say tomorrow, okay, He's a fresher. I'll make him partner. Let's allow him to sign the audit of a listed entity. Okay. So in that case, it is not appropriate. So you need to understand whether changing a partner is there or not. If there cannot be any safeguard, you cannot bring or apply any safeguard. That is the evaluation you are doing. Then you need to either withdraw from the engagement or you need to take some other actions. But you have to evaluate whether we can apply any safeguard or not. That is the second step, evaluation. Now, there is a very one important concept when it comes to the evaluation of threat. That is reasonable and informed third party test. Reasonable and informed third party test. Now, what is this? See, when you do an evaluation, when you say, no, this evaluation, after this evaluation, I come to a conclusion that, okay, this threat is not a big threat. Okay, his brother is there. They both are not like they both are separate person. His brother is separate. He lives separate. Then why we should worry? There is no threat in it. I am saying, let's say, for example, taking the same example, I am saying, no. Where is the familiarity threat? He is the auditor. He is a separate person. His brother is a businessman. He holds. Then what is the problem? They both are separate. They don't live together. Then how familiarity comes into the picture? There is no familiarity threat. Do you agree with me? When I say there is no familiarity threat in the example, because both are separate person. Do you agree with me? Come on. No. Very good, Chitra. Yes. No. Very good, Kunika. So when you guys say no, you are my reasonable and informed third party test. When you guys give me an answer, no, we cannot agree, that is the reasonable and informed third party test for me. That the conclusion that I am reaching is the same that a third party who is informed about the scenario will reach to a conclusion. If yes, then your conclusion is correct. For example, if I say no, there is a threat, and if I tell someone about this situation who is a reasonable and informed, and that third party comes to a same conclusion, yes, my evaluation is correct. But the moment a reasonable and informed third party like you guys, you come to a different conclusion than what I am giving, that means my evaluation is incorrect. That is the reasonable and informed third party test that you are required to carry when you are doing evaluation of threats. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt, guys, till now? Yes, no, anything? Did you get? Did you understand? Did you not understand? Like anything? No? Okay. So once you evaluate the threat, you need to address the threat either by eliminating it or by reducing it to an acceptable low level. Now, how will you do it? Simple. When I say I will reduce it by eliminating, or by I will address the threat by eliminating, that means either if possible I will change the signing partner, eliminating the threat itself, or I will reduce them to an acceptable level. That means I will keep the same signing partner. I will keep the same signing partner, but I will make sure there are multiple signing partners, not only one. There are two signing partners, joint auditors, or I will make sure that the work performed by one partner, any which ways, like in the scenario that I'm giving to you of the shares, company sect itself will place a bar. But let's say, for example, there is a scenario where there is company sect is not there. Like somehow the provisions are not being triggered of the company sect. Hypothetical example. In that scenario, we can bring some safeguards to eliminate or to reduce the threat at an acceptable level. So there is a question: if third party not informed, then wouldn't be there a familiarity threat? Can you explain, Rishabh, again your question once more? Like, if third party not informed, like third party
So,
test talks about that. Yes.
uh, the third party, if they are related, but they are not informed about, like they are not, you know, well much of informed about the situations in the company, then wouldn't there be any familiarity threat? Like, for example, let's say the auditor, the engagement partner, and a person who has shares in the company, they both of them are related, but they are not in good terms. So in that situation, wouldn't there be familiarity threat?
See, in that case, that's why I'm saying it's not necessary that the persons are related. There could be a familiarity threat. There could be, a long dispute also going on, as you are saying. In that case, you need to evaluate whether there is a threat involved. If yes, of what degree? Whether it's a high degree, and what is the degree or what is the level of the threat involved, and accordingly, you need to come to a conclusion of the evaluation.
Okay, sir. Sure. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other question? No? Okay. So the thing here is that once you identify the threat, evaluate it and address it. That is the way you need to address the threat. Okay. I hope no doubts. Okay. If you have any doubts, you can ask, you can post it in the chat box. Okay. Let us take one example MCQ so that we can understand the scenario with much more clarity. Okay. Mr. Q, a signing partner at ABC and Associate, was responsible for statutory auditor of EMEA Limited, a company involved in the manufacturing of motor vehicles and automotive spare parts. Mr. Q did not have prior experience of auditing the companies which were involved in manufacturing of motor vehicles and automotive spare parts. During the audit, the audit team identified that the company is paying excessive price of the raw material like steel and iron compared to the prices of London Metal Exchange. This resulted in increase in manufacturing cost. When Mr. Q took up these matters with the management for discussion, management pressured Mr. Q to agree with their way. Management also claimed that Mr. Q is new to the sector and management has hired experienced buyers and brokers who are brokering the best price of these metals for the company. Mr. Q also had a professional expert in this subject matter, and the auditor's expert opinion was in line with Mr. Q's opinion. When Mr. Q presented the auditor's expert opinion, management threatened Mr. Q with the removal from the engagement to change the statutory auditors. In the light of above scenario, kindly evaluate, is there a threat to the fundamental principles or not? If yes, and which one? So the options are given. Go to the options and tell me which is the correct option. Pretty straightforward. Come on, guys.
Sir, option A.
Okay, well, good. Very good. Option A, okay. A, yes. Option A, intimidating. Like most of you have option A. Anyone with any other option? Like who feels the option A is not the correct option? Okay. Ankit says option C, familiarity threat. Okay. Option A. So, any specific reason, Ankit, for option C? Any specific reason? No? Okay. See, here there is a threat being given for the removal from engagement, and that whenever there is a threat, there is pressure, there is an intimidation threat involved, not the familiarity. Okay. Although they are involved, they have a good experience or industry experience, but it is not, we don't have any information from how long they are with the company with respect to the audit. So we cannot say a familiarity threat in this scenario. But yes, when a threat is being given that you will be removed, it's a classic example of the intimidation threat. Intimidation threat is a correct example. Correct answer. Okay. So this is how basically, threats are there. Then we will see one more particular point. Okay, I will take you to the study material now. Everyone come to page number 19.12 on the study material. Page number 19.12. This is the section for the threats and evaluation of the threats. Now, there is a very good summary table given for the threats of the come to the compliance to the fundamental principles. If you want, you can highlight it and mark it as important. That is very good table. And then you have the examples, okay, of the facts and circumstances that are creating the threat. Very good examples like of self-interest threat. Then you have a self-review threat, advocacy. Very good examples are given. Again, there are multiple examples given. I would recommend everyone to go through these examples because they will help you to understand in detail, like what are these threats, like when these threats can arise. Okay. So very good examples. I would recommend everyone to go through these threats, and then we discuss about evaluation of the threats, where we discussed about bringing to the acceptable level, plus we discussed about bringing them or understanding them through reasonable and third-party informed test. Okay, and then you have to address the threat either by taking the action or by eliminating them. When I say taking the action, you need to apply some safeguards. Okay, and there could be multiple safeguards, multiple scenarios and multiple safeguards. Okay, clear? Any doubt till now with respect to this? Any doubt? Okay, if no doubt, then let's discuss one particular critical area that I want to discuss. Basically, I want to discuss a particular subsection of the code of ethics. Okay, this is a subsection 604. Now, this is about the tax service. And why do we have this subsection? What is the need of this subsection? That is, we need to understand somewhere. See, when I talk about this particular subsection, okay, tax services, why do we have here is because these kind of services, if a particular professional accountant is providing to its client, it may create the advocacy threat. Understand? Because you are representing a client, or it can create a self-review threat because you are performing something for the client which you are then again reviewing it back. So that's why it becomes important for us to understand that in case of tax services, what is allowed, what is not allowed. Clear? Okay, so let me take you through now. Basically, when I talk about subsection 604 tax services, what it says that subsection 604 specified, okay, which are the things, which are the services which are permissible for a particular professional accountant to its audit clients. Now here there are some categorization given. For example, tax return preparation service, tax calculation for accounting entries, tax planning and advisory, tax valuation, and assistance in tax dispute. Okay. The thing is that, say, for example, tax preparation, written preparation service, it's a low risk service. Low risk means there are very less chances that it may create a threat to the compliance with the fundamental principles. Okay. Threat to the compliance to the fundamental principles. Very low chances. Yes. So that's why it could be allowed. Second is tax calculation for accounting entries. Now here it could be a moderate to high risk. Why? You are doing tax calculation for accounting entries. Later on, these accounting entries are passed in the books, and then you become the auditor and you audit these things. Now here it comes the self-review thread. Okay, here it comes the self-review thread. Now that's why when there is a public interest entities, like public are interested in a particular entity, PI. Okay, over there you need to avoid such kind of services. Tax calculation for the accounting entries, because it could create a high risk of self-review threat. Tax planning and advisory, again, depends upon what kind of advisory and planning is being done, but it is prohibited that you are not required to provide to the PI entities. It is prohibited. Tax valuation, again, moderate to high risk. Okay. If valuations are being incorporated in your financial statement, sorry, do not provide it. And assistance in tax dispute for the PI entities, prohibited. Why? Because it will create self-advocacy threat. One side you are fighting a case for your client, and another side, how can you give a misstatement on that particular area? Not possible. There is a self-advocacy threat involved. So for the PI entities, material tax calculations, advocacy in the material tax disputes, and tax advice depending upon the or you can say planning, tax planning, if there it is very critical to the financial statement, you should not be provided. It is prohibited. Okay, so tax services can create the threat to the compliance to the fundamental principle, and accordingly you need to consider it. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt? No? Okay, great. If no further doubts, then it's really good. Okay, if you have no doubts. Now, see, the way we discussed about various scenarios, there is one more scenario with respect to fees. Okay, fees for the basically client, and we will come at that particular point in some time. As of now, I'll take at later point in time, but there is one more area which is the fees for the audit clients. Okay, and I will take with the respective particular clause in the second schedule. Okay, so the next point that I want to take up, and the next point that I want to discuss over here, is your very important point. Very important. Anyone can tell me what is Noclar? What is Noclar? Have you gone through the study material till now? If yes, then you might have read about Noclar. What is Noclar? Anyone? Non-compliance with laws and regulations. Yes, that is the full form. But what is that? Non-compliance with laws and regulations. What should I do in that? Like, why it is there? Non-compliance with laws and regulations. Why Noclar is there? What is the need of Noclar? Full form, perfectly fine. I'm not asking about the full form. I'm asking about why it is there. What is there? Why? Like why we have a non-compliance with laws and regulations. See, if a company is doing a non-compliance with laws and regulation, then why I am reading it? What is the use for me as a chartered accountant? Why it is coming to me? Can anyone tell me that? Anyone? Why it is coming to me? Why I am reading about non-compliance with laws and regulations? Okay, I understood the company is non-complying. It is a company's matter. It's a company's headache. It's a client's headache. Why I am concerned about that? No? No one? See, that's where, I would say, I would recommend everyone, whenever you read this subject, understand why. Understand that particular concept of why we are doing this, why it is necessary, why it is applicable to us as a chartered accountant. Till that time you don't understand that why, it will be kind of a subject where you are just mugging up the things, and I don't want that. Trust me, and I don't want that. Absolutely. So you need to understand why it is happening, so that we can provide advice to the client according to the Noclar. Okay, understand and solve and report. Okay, investor rely on the financial stats, so auditor should make client follow rules and regulations. Okay, material misstatement due to that. Okay, now tell me one thing. If I talk about material misstatement, if I talk about investor confidence, if I talk about everything, like whatever I just read right now, it is applicable to the professional accountant in service who is doing job in a organization. Why it is applicable to them? Advise a client. Okay, I'm doing a practice, I'm advising the client. Investor confidence, because I'm doing the stat audit, I am the CA in practice. Perfectly fine. Why to the professional accountant in the service? Noclar is not only applicable to professional accountant providing assurance related service, but it is applicable to the professional accountant in service. On the very correct track, I would say, Pitambar, very correct track, but a bit more something is different, but you are on the correct track with respect to your answer. Non-compliance, I would not say non-compliance is a fraud. See, to prevent fraud, okay, non-compliance may result not in a fraud, not necessarily it's a fraud. Okay, now we will understand this particular non-compliance with laws and regulations. Okay, see, when I talk about non-compliance with laws and regulations, what I'm talking here is that whenever there's a non-compliance with laws and regulations, okay, whenever you come across an instance, at that point in time, one of your fundamental principles comes into picture. That is integrity. If you identify a non-compliant, it becomes a fundamental principle to report that. Pretty simple. Integrity. Just now we went through the fundamental principles. The first fundamental principle will result, or is the kind of the starting point for the non-compliance with laws and regulation. That is Noclar. Because you identified, you are in the possession of the information, and integrity says be honest, we have to report. Simple. No any other logic is required to this. Fraud, penalties, investors, everything is secondary. Integrity is first. Okay. So let us see non-compliance with laws and regulations. Now, when I say non-compliance with laws and regulations, Noclar, there are two different sections involved, subsections basically. 360, 260. 360 is applicable to the audit of the listed entities. 260 is applicable to the professional accountant and senior professional accountant in service. Now, remember we discussed about part 2. Part 2 is applicable to the professional accountant in service, in charitable, commerce, other, etc., that we discussed. That's why 260 of part 2 is applicable to professional accountant in service. When I say part 3 was applicable to professional accountant in public practice. That's why you have a 360, which is applicable to the audit of listed entity when you are in public practice. Okay, that's why I asked you to just as of now see, remember these part numbers, because later on you can correlate with the relevant subsections that we will be discussing. Similar way, part 1 was your fundamental principles. That's why all the subsection 111, 112, 113 was your fundamental principles. Okay. Now, Noclar, that is non-compliance with laws and regulations. Okay. First of all, to understand this point in detail, we need to understand two important concepts. Okay. To understand the non-compliance with laws and regulations, we need to understand two important concepts. Sorry. One such important concept is that what is a non-compliance? So I will now take up some notes. I will write down some notes and I will request everyone to take the notes with me. So we have the title Noclar, that is non-compliance to or with rather laws and regulation. Okay. And here the trigger point is the identification of the non-compliance. Remember that. So when this will come into the picture, when there is a trigger point. Now this trigger point is nothing but your identification of non-compliance with laws and regulation. Okay. When there's a non-compliance, identification of a non-compliance with laws and regulations, at that point in time, this topic gets triggered. Yes, perfectly fine. But what happens when this topic gets triggered? What is required to be done in that particular scenario? Okay, that is we need to understand now. So when this gets triggered, okay, when this particular topic comes into the picture, at that point in time, first you need to understand what is a non-compliance is. To which thing I can call a non-compliance. Like, for example, if there is a non-compliance with fire safety laws, if there is a non-compliance with the fire and safety laws, for example, your office doesn't have the necessary fire extinguishers, is it a non-compliance with laws and regulations? Come on, guys. If your office doesn't have the necessary fire extinguishers, is it a non-compliance with laws and regulation? Yes, no. Yes, okay. Some say yes. Yes. Some say no. Okay, very good. Okay, perfectly fine. Yes, if it affects the FS materially, very good, Pitambar. Yeah, Kushi says no. Okay, see, now that's where the point comes into the picture. We need to understand what is non-compliance, first of all. It is not something that, okay, it's a fire and safety law, it's no or it's yes. It's not a direct answer, yes or no. There is no direct yes or no answers. But you need to understand the impact of the non-compliance. Okay. You need to understand that particular non-compliance. Then only you will be able to say, okay, whether this is a non-compliance or not. So the definition which is given for the non-compliance, first we will understand the definition of this term non-compliance for that. The definition is any act, omission, or commission, whether intentional or unintentional, intentional or unintentional, which is contrary to the prevailing laws and regulation and being committed by specified parties. Now, I have used the term specified parties over here because we need to understand who these specified parties are. But as of now, understand any act, omission, commission, whether intentional or unintentional, which is contrary to the prevailing laws and regulations, is a non-compliance. That is the definition of non-compliance. Clear? So non-compliance means any act of omission. It's not restricted to a particular financial act or financial omission. No, it is not the case. Now, who are these specified parties? That is, we need to understand, because let's say tomorrow, I'll give you an example. Okay, let's say you are working in a company. Okay, you are working in an organization where there is a director. Now, somehow you came to know that director is claiming wrong information or deduction in his personal income tax return. So he is claiming 80 political party wrong deductions, fake deductions of donation to political party in his personal income tax return. Now tell me whether this is a non-compliance. Director, I'm giving an example again. Okay. So you are a CA in service. You identified your director is claiming uh, incorrect, or rather false, I would say, deductions in his personal income tax return. In that case, can you tell me this is a non-compliance? Yes or no? Quickly. Materiality. Okay, materiality, if I talk about, let's say the amount is rupees, the donation amount is rupees 1 crores. Okay, and his salary is rupees, let's say 10 cr. I give you the numbers also. Not of concern to the accountant. Okay. No, it doesn't concern the company. Yes, it's a non-compliance. Okay, very good. What else? It is based on the specified parties. Okay. But in this scenario, with the given numbers that the salary is this, donation is this, do you think it's a non-compliance? And it falls under the Noclar. Anyone? Do you think it falls under the purview of Noclar? Yes. Okay. Okay. Very good. No. Okay. So we have a mixed answer. Yes or no. So let's understand the specified parties first. Okay. So that's why I'm saying, that's why, we need to understand who are the specified parties and why it will be or it will not be under the purview of Noclar. So let's understand the specified parties. So for you, the specified parties I will divide into two sections. One is for the professional accountant in service. Second is professional accountant in public practice. So first I will deal with the professional accountant in service. Professional accountant in service. For them, I will talk about the specified parties. Now, specified parties for professional accountant in service is one, employing organization. So, employing organization is the specified party. Individual charged with governance. So, you can say those who are charged with the governance. Okay, the term. Then, member of management. Fourth is the employees of organization. Okay, employees of the organization. Now, here, based on this, you will say, no, this falls under the member of management. That's why it's a non-compliance. Pretty straightforward. But wait a minute. I will use a strict condition supply on the act, omission, and commission. And this condition is very important to understand. These are the exclusions. Number one, personal misconduct is not part of your non-compliance. Personal misconduct unrelated to business activity of organization or audit client, okay, is not part of your non-compliance. Second, non-compliance, sorry, non-compliance by other than or by other than you can say specified parties. So if any non-compliance is done by any other party who is not a specified party, again in that case it is excluded from the Noclar. Now in this case, this is personal in nature, not related to the business activity of the organization. Hence, this is not a thing to report under Noclar. This is basically not something which is coming under the Noclar. Wait a minute, I'll just remove the fill. Okay. So no, it will not be part of your Noclar. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt till now? Not a Noclar. Because personal in nature, not related to business. Straightforward, clear, nothing difficult. So this was a specified party for the professional accountant in service. Now we will see specified party for the professional accountant in practice. So if there's a professional accountant in practice, public practice, okay, for them, what are the specified parties? So the place where we were telling about the employing organization, it will become now your audit client. The place where I was saying individual charged with the governance, now I will say audit clients, those charged with the governance. When I say member of management, now here I will say audit clients management. Sorry. Audit clients management. Okay. And when I was saying employee of the organization, I would say audit clients employee. So similar, I am just changing from employing organization to the audit client. Rest remain will same, like those charged with governance, management, and employees. Nothing changed over there. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt? No? Clear everything? No doubt? Okay, great. If no doubt, let's take a quick 10-minute break. After the break, we'll gather back and we'll continue this particular topic because there are some additional things that I want to discuss further. Okay, let's take a quick 10-minute break. Thank you. discussion that we were doing, now we need to understand in which scenarios this is applicable. Scenarios, I mean to say that not necessary that Noclar is applicable in all the audits. Noclar is applicable in all the scenarios. No, it is not the case. So you need to understand when this is applicable. And for both of the scenarios, like for professional accountant in service and professional accountant in practice, there are certain scenarios when this kind of non-compliance is required to be considered. Okay. So when I talk about professional accountant in service, as of now, okay, professional accountant in service. So I'll say applicable scenario. For the professional accountant in service, with respect to the organization, okay, organization should be a listed entity and over there the responsibility lies more on the senior professional accountant. More on the senior professional accountant means limited on the other professional accountant in service. Now, what is this? Senior professional accountant. Now, what do you mean by senior professional accountant? Can anyone tell me what is senior professional accountant? From where this came into the picture? Anyone?
So in the position of a director or officer or senior employee of the management who will provide that significant decision involving the matters.
Yes, absolutely correct. So when I talk about senior professional accountant, it is nothing but directors, officers, senior employees who can exercise significant influence over the decision making, over the acquisition, deployment, and control on the employee organization, which can control your human, financial, technological, physical, intangible resources of the company. And they have power to control these resources or power to exercise influence over these resources. If they can do it, they are the senior professional accountant in service. Means a chartered accountant, member of institute, plus at the senior level. That is a senior professional accountant. So, responding to non-compliance with laws and regulations is applicable to the professional accountant in service who is a senior professional accountant being employee of the listed entity. Now, what about sir who is not if he is a senior professional accountant for the non-listed entity? As of now, he is not required to respond to the non-compliance. We will understand what is responding to the non-compliance. Okay. Second, I will talk about responding to the non-compliance by the professional accountant in public practice. So when I talk about professional accountant in practice, in that case, it is applicable to the audit of listed entities. Not only that, but they should have turnover. Oh, sorry, they should have net worth. My mistake. They should have net worth more than 250 crores. Net worth more than 250 crores. If that is a scenario, in that case, it is applicable to professional accountant in practice. So if you are doing audit of a listed entity having net worth less than 250 crore, this might not be applicable to you. But it doesn't make a difference for professional accountant in practice because you have one alternate scenario or alternate applicability of this. Can anyone tell me an alternate applicability of this? Integrity? No. CFO? No, no. I mean to say, let's say a professional accountant in practice is there. He is doing the audit of a non-listed entity, unlisted entity. In that case, Noclar will not be applicable. But there is something else similar to the Noclar that will be applicable to him. Can anyone tell me what is that?
Sir, SA 250.
Absolutely correct. Very good. So we are talking about SA 250. Okay. SA 250 in that particular scenario is applicable to all the audits. Any which ways, if Noclar is not applicable, your SA 250 will be applicable. Can anyone tell me the name of SA 250? Anyone? What is the name of SA 250? Come on. You will say, why, sir? Why we need to remember the name? What is the need of remembering the name? It is required. When you will write in exam the answer, you need to quote SA 250, then the name of the essay. That's why it's necessary to remember the name of essay. Can anyone tell me quickly the name of SA 250?
Consideration of law and regulation in the audit of financial statement.
Very good. Excellent. Excellent. So, considerations of laws and regulations in an audit of a financial statement, irrespective of the audit, whether it's an audit of a listed entity, unlisted entity, proprietorship, partnership, whatever audit it is, you will consider the laws and regulations. And over there, we will see laws and regulations having direct effect and laws and regulations having indirect effect. So it doesn't make a difference. The Noclar is applicable to a professional accountant in practice of a listed entity, but if it is an audit, irrespective of that, it will be applicable. SA 250 will be applicable. Clear? Now, I would like to discuss one particular scenario where I would like to, check like if you have the understanding of the topic now or not. For example, ABC Limited appointed Mr. B. Okay. Mr. B was a CA in practice for advising on ESG reporting. ABC Limited net worth is rupees 500 crores. Now tell me in this particular scenario, if Mr. B identifies non-compliance with environmental laws, then whether Noclar is applicable? Yes or no? If no, then why? So pretty straightforward question, but it will, you have to think slightly. Like, it requires a thinking process over here, that read the question and then answer. ABC Limited appointed Mr. B for the advising on ESG reporting. ABC Limited net worth is 500 crores. If Mr. B identifies non-compliance with environmental laws, then whether no clause is applicable. Okay, very good, Prithvi.
Yes, sir. The no clause is applicable here, sir. The definition of no clause is talk about any act of omission or commission, intentional or unintentional, with or contrary to the prevailing laws and regulation. So here in this case, that particular this ABC Limited also is a limited company, and the net worth is having 500 crores. It's applicable. No clause is applicable on this case.
Okay, so for the clarification, it's a listed entity. Anyone else? Very good, Pitamba. Very good. Anyone else with a different answer? Anything else? ABC is a listed entity. Okay, tell me, to whom the no clause is applicable? To ABC Limited or to Mr. B? My question is, to whom the no clause is applicable? ABC Limited or Mr. B? Okay, Ankit. Anyone else with a different answer? To whom the no clause is applicable? Okay, Priti, very good. Come on, guys, pretty straightforward. Like, there is no confusion in that. It should not be a confusion also. Like, to whom it is applicable. Ria, I will take up your doubts. Don't worry on that. I will take up your doubts in a while. Like I have received, but I will take up your doubts. Don't worry. Anyone? Whether no clause is applicable or not? To whom it is applicable? Okay, Priya. Sandeep, Ankit, Jyoti. No? Okay. So basically, when I talk about applicability of this particular part, it is applicability is decided on the basis of professional accountant, because code of ethics is applicable to a professional accountant. Okay. Now the second thing is that here in this particular scenario, as I told you, he is being appointed. He's a CA in practice, not in employment. So public professional accountant in practice, public practice will be applicable. Is this an audit of a listed entity? Answer is no. This is not the audit of a listed entity. So if I say professional accountant in practice, the second condition is an audit of a listed entity. And the third condition is net worth greater than 250 CR. Your first condition is being satisfied. Your third condition is satisfied, but your second condition is not getting satisfied. In this particular example, it's not an audit of a listed entity. He is doing advisory on the ESG reporting. In that case, whether this particular will be applicable to him, Mr. B, answer is no. In this scenario, Mr. B is not required to respond to the non-compliance with laws and regulations that he identified during the professional engagement, during his professional engagement. Okay. Now, there are a few things that I want to discuss along with this. When you write an answer in exam, okay, at that point in time, what we are required to do. So basically, when we write the answer in the exam, we have to specify the term appropriately. We cannot say the applicability of non-clar or no-clar or something like that. Here, the term that we are talking about specifically, that once this is applicable, then it is the responding to the non-compliance. This one, responding to non-compliance with laws and regulations applicable to either professional accountant in service or responding to the non-compliance with laws and regulation applicable to professional accountant in public practice. Can I change this term and write is like, applicability of Noclar to professional accountant in service? It will be incorrect. If I do that and if I write in this way in exam, it will be incorrect. See, first of all, applicability of the section or subsection of code of ethics. This Noclar is a particular section of code of ethics. Now, when I say applicability of a Noclar, it is applicability of that portion of the code of ethics on the professional accountant. But when this becomes applicable, he has to do something. In that case, I cannot say that, okay, Noclar is applicable and hence he is required to do. The appropriate term will be responding to the non-compliance. So if I say this particular portion of the code of ethics, or if I say the provisions related to non-compliance with laws and regulations of code of ethics is applicable to a professional accountant in service, in that case, he is required to respond to it. Whatever we are understanding at the end, the point is responding to non-compliance. This is the very important part. Responding to the non-compliance. Once you decide that, okay, you are coming into the picture where Noclar is applicable, you have to respond. And your answer should use these terms, important terms, responding to non-compliance with laws and regulations. If possible, do not write any short form, any abbreviations. Do not use any abbreviations in exam. No. Write the full term, non-compliance with laws and regulations. Avoid using the term Noclar unless and until you have specified somewhere. But as possible, as much as possible, do not use the abbreviations. Do not use like the way I'm here for explaining, I'm writing PA in service, PA in practice. No. You have to write professional accountant in service. And the term here is professional accountant in public practice. So if I write chartered accountant in practice, it will be incorrect. If I write chartered accountant in public practice, no. I have to write the term professional accountant in public practice for this particular section. Remember the terms and they have a distinct meaning to it. There is a purpose why these terms are being used. Why a chartered accountant is not used rather than a professional accountant is used. Okay. So a professional accountant in public practice is something the term you are required to use. So most of the time when we write answers in the exam, we change the term. You may only write chartered accountant in practice. Some student might only write chartered accountants. Some might write CA in practice. Some may use the word only CA. Don't do that. Okay. So once this particular part is applicable to you, you have to then respond to the non-compliance. And how will you respond? There are ways to respond. See, in case of a employment, you need to first obtain the understanding of the matter. What is the non-compliance about? Then you need to address the matter. Address the matter means you need to talk to someone within the organization. If you are in the employment, you will talk to those charged with governance. You will talk to the higher authority in the company, higher than you. That, okay, there is a non-compliance, I am identified. If, let's say, for example, if this is a non-compliance which is ongoing, then you need to specify to them, okay, sir, this is ongoing non-compliance. that is going on. Or if it was a one time, then you need to bring to their attention was there was this one time non-compliance. And then here, the one important part comes is why non-compliance occurred, because you have controls in pictures. So what about controls? Okay, what about controls? Controls were there to prevent non-compliance. Are they working effectively? Are they designed effectively? So why non-compliance happened? So once you obtain the understanding, then accordingly you need to understand why non-compliance happened, whether the controls are working effectively, and then accordingly, let's say for example, I say controls are not working effectively, then you have to address the matter. You need to inform someone, ask them to rectify the controls. Okay, you need to ask them to focus on the controls. Or if let's say for example control is designed effectively but it is not operating effectively, then you need to think why it is not operating effectively. If required, seek the advice from any professional or any third party external counsel or someone else. Most probably you will seeking the advice for the estimation of penalty and fines. Like what are the fines and penalties that will be applicable to you in this particular case. Then determine whether to disclose the matter to an appropriate authority. Okay, so once you do all these, what actions are required, what further actions are needed, then you need to think of, am I required to disclose to this sum to appropriate authority? Maybe within organization or outside organization. See, when you are reporting these kind of matters within organization or outside organization, there is a chance that you might breach confidentiality. Okay, so breach of confidentiality can happen. So you need to be cautious that whether is this something that you are required to report. Is it something where you have a responsibility to report or disclose the matter to appropriate authority? If yes, then you should. If there is no responsibility, then suo moto disclosing with the intention to damage the image of the company can result in a breach of confidentiality. Also, you need to understand whether this is an imminent breach, continuing breach of a particular major law or regulation. And then at the end, whatever you do, keep the documentation of it. This is how you need to respond to the non-compliance. This is basically responding to the non-compliance. So it's not only about non-compliance. At the end, once we decide the applicability, we have to respond to it. Now, the same way it will be applicable to a professional accountant in public practice. He needs to understand, address, seek advice, determine the further action, and every same step will be applicable. Plus, here documentation, which essay will be applicable to him for documentation quickly? Documentation to the essay for the documentation.
Sir, essay 230, sir.
Very good. Very good. Essay 230, audit documentation. Any which ways, audit is there for a public accountant. Yes. Audit of a listed entity having net worth 250 crore or more. In that case, essay is applicable. Documentation you have to do as per essay 230. Clear? Any doubt with respect to this topic?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, tell me, let's say for example, okay, let's say for example, if this breach of confidentiality happens, then what? In that case, if there is a breach of confidentiality, that we will see. As of now, I am just providing a reference. I will discuss this later in detail. That is clause 1, part 1, second schedule. Plus, or I would say, or clause 2, part 2, second schedule. As of now, park it and remember, if there is a breach of confidentiality, then these clauses will be applicable. Based on the scenario, we will discuss this once we will reach to the clauses. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt? Anyone? Very important part. Responding to the non-compliance. Like we are understanding non-compliance. But why? Because you have to respond to it. No? No doubts? Sorry. Anyone? Any doubts? I really sorry for that. Okay. If no doubts, then can we take up 1 or 2 questions to discuss further on this? Let's take up 1 or 2 questions. A minute.
See, determining further action and determining whether to report the matter to appropriate authority. What is the difference between that?
Determining further action and determining the further to report. See, determining further action means that if it is a continuing breach, okay, if it is something, that is still happening, if the non-compliance is still ongoing, then in that case, what further you are required to do? Further action to stop it, to prevent it from happening again in future. That is the further action. Okay, determining further action is needed or not, like to prevent it from happening in future, or if it is happening continuously, then how to stop it. But determining whether to disclose the matter to an appropriate authority, for example, let's say it's a listed entity. Okay, we are talking about always listed entity. SEBI is involved. If something, this is regarding the disclosure that is required to be made to the stock exchange. So SEBI regulations already has provision when there is a non-compliance, when there is a failure to report, then what you should do. So in that scenario, you need to understand: are you required to report to that report the matter to the appropriate authority? For example, stock exchange, SEBI, or any industry forum, or any authority decided by the SEBI itself for that listed entity. Or let's say, for example, if this is a non-compliance with respect to the RBI laws and regulations, RBI directions. In that case, are you required to report to the AD banker and then to RBI? Or are you required to report to RBI? What is the, or let's say if it's a FEMA, then are you required to report for the compounding? So determining whether to disclose the matter to the appropriate authority or not is something depending upon the, you can say, type of non-compliance. I hope it is clear.
Okay.
Great. Okay. I have few questions that I want to take it up. Okay. Let's go through those questions and then we will discuss. So, Mr. J, a chartered accountant in service, was appointed project manager under full-time employment for DEF Limited, a NSE listed company. During a project, Mr. J identified that the DEF Limited might have not complied with some of the requirement of the stock exchange listing agreement, and which could result in penalties. However, he was not having any further evidence with him to substantiate the non-compliance, and it was out of his purview of his roles and responsibilities as a project manager. Mr. J ignored the matter and did not discuss it with anyone in the organization. kindly guide whether the decision of not disclosing the information to anyone in the organization regarding the potential breach is appropriate. So you need to discuss, you need to think on this. Like these are the given options, A, B, C, D. Go through the options and tell me which is the correct option. So take a time, take a minute, read the question and tell me which is the correct option. Anyone? Okay. I hope you might have gone through the question. What is the correct option? Come on quickly. What is the correct option? Option, okay, some are saying B, 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 okay, B is the correct option. Yes. So you are right. B is the correct option. Okay. So option B is the correct one over here. The reason because Mr. J being a chartered accountant in service, okay, professional accountant in service of a listed company is required to evaluate to whom the disclosure should be made amongst the management. Now, if you say that he is not a senior professional accountant, still he has a limited responsibility of the disclosure to the management or those charged with governance, and hence the correct option is B. Mr. J, like A1, which talks about confidentiality, fundamental principles, maintain confidentiality. See, no, you are required to discuss. That's why the code of ethics says that, okay, there is a limited responsibility on the professional accountant in service and full responsibility on the senior professional accountant. That's why A is incorrect. C, again, inconsequential or relating to personal misconduct, it is not the case. So that's why C is also incorrect. D, D is basically says that you are not required to investigate or not required to discuss the same, which is totally incorrect. We have a topic called responding to non-compliance with laws and regulations. So D is altogether opposite to that. So the correct answer is B, and because of section 260. That is applicable to professional accountant in service. Clear? Any doubt? Sorry. No? Very good. If no further doubts, let me proceed with the further topics. Now I'm going to take up some of the important sections of the Charter Accountants Act. Okay. Remember, when I started the session, I said I will be dividing the session in 5 categories or 5 basically areas. So the first one was your fundamental principles, Noclar, fees, taxation service. Second is the member registration, disability, branch office, deemed to be in practice, and management consultancy service. That's the second part, which is the Act, Chartered Accountant Tax, provision of the Chartered Accountant Tax. Now we are moving toward our second section. Okay, provision of the CA Act. So just let me. Okay. So we will start with discussion with respect to the first is the disability, section number 8, disability for the purpose of membership. Okay, why? Reason because here we will understand the membership now of the when to be when you will clear your CA final exams, you will be eligible to be a member. Let's start with the disability of the membership. Like in what scenarios a person can be debarred from having his name to be entered in the register of members. Okay, see, there is a section 19 of the CA Act, Chartered Accountants Act, which talks about register of members. Okay, section 19 talks about that you have to maintain the register of members. Now there is a section 8. Remember, you need to learn section numbers. When you are writing in an exam, you have to remember section numbers. So disability of the member, disability for the purpose of membership deals or comes under the section 8. Now, there are criteria given under this particular section, like who are debarred from having their name entered under this particular section in the register of members. So the first one is if you are not attained at the age of 21 at the time of the application, you cannot have your name registered in the register of members. Second, unsound mind. If he is of unsound mind, okay, in that case, he will be debarred from having his name entered in the register of members. Third, if he is the undischarged insolvent. Fourth, if he is a discharged insolvent but he has not obtained a certificate stating that his insolvency was caused by misfortune. Now most of students just learn these conditions. Can anyone tell me what is the certificate stating insolvency was caused by misfortune? Why this certificate is required? And why this is a condition over here? Anyone? Why do we have a condition saying that a certificate is required that insolvency was caused by misfortune? Anyone?
Professional behaviors.
Yes, very good. Professional behavior. What else? Why we are required to have this certificate? Why there's a requirement of this certificate? See, if you don't have this certificate, that means either your insolvency was caused by any fraud or any intentional act that you have done, which can be either a signal that you are not behaving in a professional manner, or there are pending litigations, or could be a pending issues with respect to your insolvency, with respect to fraud, with respect to intentional insolvency, or any misconduct on your part. That's why being to maintain the professional status of and to only admit the persons who are the who can adhere to the professional behavior, this certificate is required that insolvency was caused by misfortune. And if your insolvency was not caused by misfortune, in that case your name cannot be entered. Then if he is the convicted by competent court within or outside India, okay, with an offense involving moral turpitude and punishable with imprisonment. If that is the case, then yes, you will be you cannot have your name entered into the register of members. Then, if your name has been removed from the membership, being either guilty of professional misconduct or other misconduct as per the schedules that we will see. Again, you are not allowed to have your name entered into the register of members. Now there are certain scenarios where your name is removed for certain time period or for a specified period. In that case, once that specified period is over, then you may apply for again your name to be entered, but till that time that specified period has not passed, you cannot apply. Let's say, for example, you are already a member, your name is there, but you become undischarged insolvent. That is disability occurring after obtaining membership. In that case, your name will be removed. In that case, now for example, you will say, sir, how institute will come to know that we have become undischarged insolvent, or how institute will come to know that we have been convicted by a competent court? What if we do not tell to the institute about these disabilities? Then in that case, it is a professional misconduct under section 8. And again, being a professional misconduct, the last point, that your name can be removed being guilty of professional or other misconduct. This point will be applicable and your name will be removed. So if you do not disclose any of the disability that is applicable to you, your name will be removed and you will be guilty of professional misconduct. Okay. So that was your section 8. That is type of disability. 21, unsound mind, undischarged insolvent, discharged but without certificate, convicted and removed. Clear? Okay. Then next section that I want to take it up for the further discussion is a penalty. Okay, for falsely claiming to be a member. Very important part, penalty for falsely claiming to be a member. That is section 24 of the Act. Now, if you are not a member of institute, and if you represent that you are a member of institute, and if you use the designation of a charter accountant. Second is, if you are a member of institute not having certificate of practice, but you represent that you are a practicing charter accountant. In that case, you will be here punishable under this particular section. That is, for the first conviction, it is 1,000 rupees. For any subsequent conviction, it could be a imprisonment up to 6 months and a fine of 5,000 rupees or both. Okay. So if you represent that you are a member of institute when you are not, if you use a designation CA when you are not, if you represent you are a CA in practice when you are not, you will be held guilty under section 24 of the Act. Now the question comes is that, okay, if we represent in that way, we will be held guilty. But for that, you need to understand one simple part. When I say not being member of institute, I am saying both of type of memberships. I'm talking about both type of memberships. Now, for that, we need to understand the type of membership of institute. Okay. So what are the types of membership basically? Type of memberships are defined under section 5. So I will now take up some notes. So I will request everyone to write with me. Okay. Now we will talk about section 5 of the CA Act. Okay. Section 5 basically provides for two different type of memberships. One is your associate member Second is your fellow member. Okay, one is your associate member, second is your fellow member. From the first day itself, when you enter, when you have your name entered in the register of membership, from the first day, you are a associate member. You can use the term ACA. You can use the letter ACA after your name. To denote that you are the associate member of the institute. Okay. Sometimes this is called as a suffix, or you can say this is as a denoting membership. And I'll come to the point, what are the designations, what are the prefix, and what are the suffix. Okay, in case of membership. Second is the fellow member. Now, for fellow member, there are conditions when you can be a fellow member. One, you need a continuous practice of 5 years. Very important in India. So you need to have a continuous practice of 5 years in India. Okay. And 5 years, continuous 5 years I'm talking about. So continuous 5 years in India, practice is required to qualify as a fellow member. Now, what if he doesn't have the practice? He is not a practicing CA. In that case, there is another criteria, or you are an associate for 5 or more than 5 years. Okay, you are an associate for more than 5 years basically. Okay, plus you possess such qualifications which are equal to experience normally acquired as a result of continuous practice of 5 years. So you need to possess such qualifications which is equivalent to the experience, plus you should be associate for more than 5 years. In that case, you can be a fellow member. Any doubts with respect to this one? Any doubt? No? I have a doubt. When I talk about this particular part, like, possess such qualifications, is there anything specified somewhere? Like, is there anything that says that what are these qualifications and what are these, experiences which are equivalent to the being in practice? Like, what is this? From where I can get information about this? So remember, for this, there is a regulation 5.3. Regulation 5.3 of Charter Accountants Regulation. Again, when I'm talking about Regulation 5.3, I'm talking about Charter Accountants Regulation. Okay, not any other regulation. So Regulation 5.3 deals with the scenario which talks about experience normally acquired as a result of continuous of 5 years of practice. So if you want, you can read that Regulation 5.3. There are multiple conditions given under that regulation. Multiple conditions are given. Like, okay, in that case, what will be the experience equal to this, experience equal to that? A lot of things are given. So you can read that. Okay. So Regulation 5.3, you can go and refer to when you want to understand further on this. Okay. So that was the associate and fellow membership. Any doubt till now? Any doubt? Any doubt by anyone? If you are not on the Zoom, if you are if you are watching from the BOS portal, you can use the facility to send the doubt through that portal. So I will be receiving that doubt and I will be answering the question. So use that facility, ask your doubts as much as possible. Okay. If no doubt, let me proceed. Okay, so that was my membership. And if I become associate member, I can use the term FCA as a after my name. So can use FCA after the name. Now, what if, see, now I discussed a particular section was 24, not being a member of institute, representing being a member of institute. What if I'm an associate and I represent as a fellow? What will happen? So section 24 that I was talking about, I'll go to section 24, which is there on your page number, yeah, here, page number 19.24. So section 24 of the Chartered Accountant Act, penalty for falsely claiming to be the member. This covers your penalty. You are not being a member of institute. You are representing that you are a member of institute. Now the scenario is, what if associate represents as fellow? What will happen? Anyone? This question should come. Like, will you classify this case under section 24? Associate member representing himself fellow.
Sir, fellow means then that professional misconduct will apply, sir, for class 1 of the part 3, the first schedule to the CI it will applicable. Professional
Okay.
misconduct.
Very good. Very good. Anyone else with any different answer? Anyone else? No? Yes, absolutely correct. No, we cannot claim under section 24. Yes, we cannot claim under section 24 because section 24 talks about basically who is not a member. But if he is a associate and he represents himself a fellow, in that particular case, he will not fall under section 24. We will discuss this particular part when we will talk about your schedules. Okay, when we will discuss your schedule, first schedule and second schedule, over there we will discuss this particular point. That what if the associate represents himself as a fellow, not being a fellow, represents himself a fellow. Okay, at that point in time, we will discuss this part. Okay, so this particular section 24 will not be applicable. Section 24 will not be applicable, but your schedules will be applicable. Okay, so in that case, we need to understand, sorry, yeah, in that case, schedules for the Chartered Accountant Act will be applicable. Okay, any doubt? Any doubt? Just give me a minute. Okay. Okay. If no doubts, then let's proceed. Okay. Okay. Now we discuss about the penalty. We discuss about the type of membership. Okay. And we also discuss about the removal from the name of register. So associate fellow, then removal. We discuss section 20, and then we discuss about it if he falsely claiming to be a member of the institute. Now the next point that I want to discuss basically over here is significance of the significance of the certificate in practice. See, why there is a significance. We need to discuss about the significance of certificate of practice. The reason because that when I talk about certificate of practice here, okay, here like you are appearing as per the you are a member of the institute. You may appear into a capacity of the being a member of institute. Over there is a significance of that certificate of practice. That means if you are barred from appearing as a member of, if you are barred from like from the register of members, then can you appear as a member of institute in front of any regulation or authority? That is a one very important point that we need to understand. So significance of, as of now I'll write COP. The question, I will discuss this particular point in the way of a question. Let's say, for example, Mr. A was debarred and his name was removed from register of members. Okay, his name was removed from the register of members on, let's say, 01/04/2024. Mr. A then appeared in front of tax tribunal. Now, as of now, I will write tax tribunal. You can say ITAT, perfectly fine. Okay. Okay, or CIT appeals, whatever you want to say. I'm as of now writing tax tribunal. Okay, in front of tax tribunal for his client. Okay, for his client on, let's say, 30/04/2024. In this particular scenario, can I say, the question is whether Mr. A is representing himself to be in practice and liable for penalty under section 24 of the Act. This is a very critical question that we need to understand. See, here Mr. A was debarred from his name from being entered into the register of member, or his name was removed. And then he is appearing before the income tax tribunal, income tax ITAT, before the ITAT, where he is representing his client. Can I say that representation before the tribunal is kind of, that he is claiming that he is holding certificate of practice, but he is not. Or he is claiming that he is representing that he is a member of the institute, or he is using the designation of chartered accountant, but he is not. So What do you think? Can I say that he can be, be liable for the penalty under Section 24? Yes, he is liable. Okay. Anyone else with any different answer? Whether he is allowed to represent his client in front of income tax tribunal or any income tax authority? Yes, no. Students watching from BOS portal, anyone?
So applicability of 24 is there.
Okay, very good.
Hmm.
Okay, so that was the view of the council also. Now that is the significance of your certificate of practice. That means when you took up a particular assignment, okay, when you are doing any particular, engagement, if you are doing as a member, like if you are appearing in front of the income tax tribunal, you cannot say that you are not appearing as a member of institute, because that work was taken, because that work initially was taken as a member of institute, because you are representing, you are a member of institute. Okay, although now your name has been your name has been removed, that doesn't mean that you are representing in any other capacity. The question is, can you represent in any other capacity? Answer is no. You started representing in the capacity of a member of institute, so you can only appear in the capacity as a member of institute. Once your name is removed, if you are appearing as a in the capacity, if you are still appearing, that means you are representing yourself, that you are in practice, you are the member of institute, you are using that capacity again. You cannot say that I'm not using the capacity that now. So a member of institute cannot have any other capacity. Okay, cannot have any other capacity in which he can take this practice separately. In that case, a chartered accountant whose name has been removed from the membership for professional or other misconduct, during such period of removal, he cannot say that I am now, let's say, something else. I am representing as a tax consultant. No, your matters which you have already taken up, the matters which are already going on, or if you are appearing before the tribunal, you will be, seen as a member of institute only. That's why you cannot appear before the tax authorities or other bodies where you could have appeared as a member of institute. So in first instance, if you could appear that particular, position, if you could appear, you could have appeared as a member of institute. Now you cannot. That will become that you are falsely representing yourself as a member of institute when your name is not there, and you can be liable under Section 24. Okay. Very good example that is given in your study material also. Page number 19.26, similar example, that a chartered accountant in practice has been suspended from the practice for a period of 6 months, and he surrendered his COP for the said period. During the said period of suspension, though the member did not undertake any audit assignment, he undertook representation assignment for income tax, whereby he would appear before the tax authorities in the capacity of a chartered accountant. Okay. In that case, he is not holding any COP. So he cannot take up other work that will be violation of a CA Act. So the conclusion is a chartered accountant would not be allowed to represent before the income tax authorities for the period he remains suspended. If he does, he will be guilty of professional misconduct and the sections will be applicable to him.
So just want to ask you, like, let's say the person who is suspended and that CA is appealing that decision. During that process, he can represent that client temporarily.
No. If he's appealing that decision and an appeal is pending, he cannot still, because his
Okay.
name is not there. So
Okay.
the critical matter and the point to be, the focus is whether his name is there or not.
Okay. Thank you.
Now there are multiple scenarios, multiple. If I have to complicate your scenario, I can do it. Let's say he got an interim relief. His name was supposed to be entered back. In that case, again, the question comes is his name is present? If present, then yes. Because of the interim relief, if his name is there, then yes. But if his name is not present, then he cannot.
Okay. Ultimately, he called as suspended.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Sir, in
Any
this
other
case,
doubts?
whether sir, in this case, whether the section 8 will apply or any other clause will applicable for the professional misconduct, sir?
See, here, section 8 talks about the disability. Okay. You are already disabled, like you are already debarred from the being your name entered into the register of members. So section 8 is already applicable. That's why your name was removed. Now, if you present yourself before any authority in the capacity of a chartered accountant, you are, inviting section 24 also. Am I clear?
Okay, sir. In this case, section 24 will be applicable.
Because 8 has already been applied. That's why your name has been removed.
Why I am asking this question, sir? Then it is in this case he is guilty of professional misconduct. So under
Yeah.
which clause the professional misconduct will be applicable?
See, here you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. No doubt in that. Because you are representing as a capacity of a chartered accountant. Section 24 will be applicable. Plus, it's another. See, here, why professional misconduct? Because the suspension is temporary for the 6 months, not permanent. That's why the term professional misconduct is also used. So there is one more question. Here it is specifically written in the capacity of chartered accountant. If it was not mentioned, then also he cannot represent in any other capacity. Now the question comes is, was there any other capacity in which you were representing earlier? You were representing in the capacity of a chartered accountant. Now there are provisions where you are not required to, when you are a CA in practice, you cannot take up any other business. Means you cannot, call yourself in any other capacity. If you do, you will be held guilty of professional misconduct. You are engaged in any other business without the permission of counsel. We will go to that particular clause. So you will be held guilty of professional misconduct over here. But as of now, if you are CA in practice, how can you be in any other capacity? You cannot be in any other capacity. So in that case, if I do not mention that as a capacity of chartered accountant, still you cannot have any other capacity. Any doubt till now?
Clear, sir.
Okay. Let us take some questions and we understand how to write these questions, answer for these questions, because the important part is also to write the answer in exam. Correct? Okay. So let me take up some questions for you guys. Okay. Here is the question. CA Ghosh, a newly qualified chartered accountant, joins a reputed CA firm as a partner. He's full of confidence about his qualification and feels he possesses complete knowledge of his profession for the future assignments. The senior partner of the firm calls a meeting to brief a new partner and other newly appointed audit assistant in his firm regarding the ethics that need to be kept in mind while carrying out assurance and non-assurance service. One of the area he touches upon is the professional competency and due care that a chartered accountant needs to possess at all times. Enumerate the matters envisaged in subsection 113 of the revised code of ethics that needs to be complied by a professional accountant with respect to professional competency and due care. So read the question, take a minute, and then tell me what you will write in the answer. Read this question, take a minute, and then tell me what you will write in the answer. Anyone? If you have read the question, what you will write in the answer? No? Yes?
As like a CA must always keep their knowledge update, work carefully, I can say, and responsibly with professional service and with proper planning and care, that I can say in crux.
Okay.
Here is the professional competence and due care that a chartered account needs to be possessed at all time. Yes. CA Ghosh need to possess the professional competence and the due care at all the time, sir.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Understand. Let's understand one thing here. Now, this question is, let's say, was in exam for the 4 marks. Okay. How much you will write?
Yeah, at least we need to write 4 point at least. See, he has to obtain the professional knowledge and skills at all the times, and the applicable professional standard and technical standard, if any, he has to get it updated. And
Yes.
also he has to comply with the principles of professional competence and due care.
Yes. Okay. See, now I'll tell you how to write the answer for this particular question. Straightforward and simple. Whenever you have to write an answer for a particular question, understand what is asked first. So here, the point that is asked is that enumerate the matters envisaged in subsection 113 that needs to be complied by a professional accountant with respect to professional competency and due care. So indirectly, or you can say directly, it is being asked that what are the things under this fundamental principle you need to do as a professional accountant. Yes. So when I will write the answer, first of all, I will start, okay, as per section 113 of the revised code of ethics, a professional accountant should follow or should, compile with or comply with, do these following things under the fundamental principle of professional competency and the due care. Okay, and then I will start my answer. So for example, a intro line that I call it, that is, A professional accountant shall comply with the principle of professional competency and due care, which requires an accountant to. Now, this is kind of an intro line. Okay, introduction, like what you are going to write your answer about. Okay, in that case, then you need to write the whole answer. Remember, we discussed when I talk about professional competency and due care, I'm talking about that the service that you are providing to your client, you should be providing based on appropriate service. That means you should comply with the professional, technical, and relevant standards which are there. You should be updated to the relevant laws and regulations. You should act as per the applicable technical and professional standard. So that are the things you need to write. And remember, there are certain keywords that you need to write. For example, in this scenario, it is current technical and professional standards. So first thing, you need to maintain or attain professional knowledge and skill that ensures that you are providing appropriate service to your client or employing organization. Now, this is subsection 113, fundamental principles. This is applicable to both your professional accountant in service and professional accountant in practice. That's why whenever I will write an answer for the fundamental principles, I have to specify these both terms, like client or employing organization, because there is no distinction between a fundamental principle applicable to the professional accountant in service and the fundamental principle being applicable to the professional accountant in practice. So you need to attain and maintain professional knowledge, skill, to ensure that if it is a client, then client. If you are in a professional accountant in practice, then client. If you are a professional accountant in service, then employing organization receives the competent professional service, where you are complying with the current technical and professional standards along with the relevant legislation. You act diligently in accordance with the applicable technical and professional standard. Okay. When you are serving your clients, you are exercising sound judgment. So sound judgment. When you are maintaining professional competency, your awareness with respect to the developments on the technical, professional, and business standards or business developments, like what are the relevant developments which are there. Okay, you need to maintain this particular capabilities, skill throughout. It is not something that you need to maintain at one particular time. So continuing professional development we are talking about. Okay, then you need to act accordingly. You need to act in a thoughtful manner, carefully, on a timely basis. So carefully, thoughtfully, on a timely basis, and you need to comply with the this particular standard. You need to take reasonable steps to comply with it, to ensure that you are in compliance with. So take reasonable steps to ensure compliance. Now here are 6 points, 6 to 7 points. So when there is a 4-mark answer, I am expected to write 4 to 6 points. But at that point in time, when you write an answer, you should focus upon keywords. Like these are the keywords. You should not change these keywords basically. For example, can I write this technical and professional standard as a relevant laws and standards? Answer is no. There is a term called technical and professional standards, and these terms are defined in the code of ethics. That's why this technical and professional standard term should not be changed. Similarly, like whenever there is a term called professional competency and due care, this is the particular name of the fundamental principle. Professional competency and due care. Some student may write as a competency and due care. Some student only write professional competency. Some may write professional due care. No, these things are not required to be changed. These are the terms you should keep as it is. If you change, that will change the meaning. When you are writing the answer, I said professional accountant. I'm using the term professional accountant over here. Professional accountant in service, professional accountant in public practice. Can I use chartered accountant? Should I use CA in practice? It will have a different meaning. So it is advisable you shouldn't use it. Okay. So when you are writing an answer, make sure that first of all, your point, a particular point which is there, let's say point number 1, like this way. Okay. Is a fully point. It should not be split into 2, 3, 4 different points. You will say, okay, I'll split point number 1 into 4 different points. Not relevant. If you are talking about what he is required to do, point number 1 should specify. If you are talking sound judgment, it should not happen that you are talking about sound judgment in point number 2, you are talking about sound judgment in point number 3, you're talking about sound judgment in point number 4. If you write like this way, 4 points, there is no use. On a one particular area, one particular topic, like this sound judgment, you should have 1 point. Okay. So this is the way you need to write your answer.
Sir, can I ask you something like on a frank note? This is something
Yes.
that too robotic. It's like too robotic as like writing all key point. It's understanding. It's clear, but writing same thing is like mugging the things, right?
No. I'm again. So writing same things. Now see, for example, same things in what manner? Like if I am ask you, okay, no. Point number 2 should be this. The sentence should be this. That is mugging up. But if I say understand what act requires, what code of ethics requires, and then write accordingly. For example, I'm not asking you to write, okay, you should say that, okay, serving in client and employing organizations, competency requires sound judgment and everything. In a similar sentence, no. But you have to mention something about sound judgment.
Yes, sir. Like you are too correct, but like our institute wants us to write what module wants. Like as I read the previous feedbacks, they really want to catch the same language what mentioned in the module maximum, especially in audits. Sir, is this correct?
I would not say that is correct. See, in that case, when I say same language, it is the technical terms that should not be altered. Simple.
Okay.
If I ask you one single question, if I change and an or in the text, particular provision of a text, it has a very big impact. Yes or no?
Yeah, it's make blunders. Agree.
Yes. So same way, audit is based on the laws and regulations. For example, your standards are the legal codification, your Chartered Accountant Act, your code of ethics, and the schedules that I'm talking about, they are part of the Chartered Accountant Act. They are the laws. If I change a single term and then or in a particular law, it is a blunder. So similarly, over here also, there are key terms you should not change to.
Sure, sir. Okay, got it. So, moral is like we need to remember the technical words and language our own we can write along with the keywords.
Yes.
So we'll get full marks. Like out of 4, we get 3 or 4 to like 4 out of 4 or 3 something. If we write
See,
perfect,
if you write the terms which are there, if you have your own language, perfectly fine. But if the intent is coming in the same way, again I'm saying, if the intent is not changed by the changing the language, you will get full marks.
then fine. Yes, sir.
For example, if I'm saying that, okay, a professional accountant should exercise sound judgment while applying professional knowledge, if I use this particular, like if my intent is same, I'm using some another language, I'm saying about sound judgment, I'm writing about sound judgment, I'm using the word professional accountant, but the language is bit different, I'll get full marks.
Great, sir.
Any other doubt? Any doubts? See, that's why it's very important how to write an answer. You have to make sure that there are certain things, please do not change those terms and key things. They are part of the law. Apart from that, language is something that you can have your own, provided the intent remain the same. Okay, and this is just a start. We will discuss a lot of questions. We will discuss a lot of practical scenarios which are there for the professional ethics, how to write answer in those for those questions also, where the schedules are there, even in the standards. A lot of things are there that during this particular journey we will discuss. And trust me, if you follow these things, this subject is not at all difficult. Just be with me the way I guide you. This subject will not be difficult at all. Trust me. Okay. If no further doubt, okay, I think there is one doubt. Okay, no doubt. Okay. If there is no doubt, I propose to keep the session till here. We will continue further in our next session. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Then, thank you for participating in the session. Thank you, everyone. I will see you in the next session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you. Good night.
Recording stopped.